Most people think Arizona is just desert and canyons, but underneath the ground exists a world that 95% of people will never see. Hidden cave systems stretch for miles in complete darkness, and some have formations that scientists say should not even exist. What locals discovered down there changes everything. At number 10 we have Kartchner Caverns, and the story of how this place stayed secret will shock you. Two amateur cavers named Gary Tenen and Randy Tufts founded in 1974 near Benson in southeastern Arizona. They told absolutely nobody for 14 years straight while plans got made to protect it. Think about keeping a discovery like that quiet for over a decade while you figure out the right way to share it with the world. The caverns contain over 2.4 miles of passages that wind through the earth filled with formations most people only see in movies. Massive columns connect the floor to the ceiling like natural pillars holding up a cathedral. Delicate soda straws hang from above, looking fragile enough to break from a whisper. And rare shield formations exist here that you will not find in most caves across the entire United States. The humidity inside stays at nearly 99% all the time, which sounds miserable, but actually keeps the formations growing. This means the cave is still alive and changing. The state turned it into a park, but designed the tours in a way that prevents human damage to the environment underground. Every step visitors take follows a path calculated to leave zero impact on formations that took millions of years to form. Scientists study how moisture moves through the rock to understand why some formations grow while others stay dormant. The 14-year secret makes sense when you realize one careless tourist can destroy formations that nature spent millennia creating. Tours run on strict schedules with limited numbers of people allowed inside at any time. The airflow gets monitored constantly because even breathing patterns from too many visitors can change the cave's chemistry. What separates Kartchner from other caves is how pristine it remains compared to tourist caves that got ruined before anyone understood conservation. The formations continue growing today because the conditions stay perfect for calcium carbonate deposits. Walking through feels like stepping into a living organism rather than a static rock formation. Temperature underground holds steady year-round, regardless of summer heat or winter cold above the surface. The discovery changed how Arizona protects geological treasures, proving you can share these places with the public without destroying them. But this cave system is just the beginning of what exists beneath Arizona. Coming in at number 9 is Grand Canyon Caverns. And this system formed 65 million years ago when an ancient inland sea covered the entire region. The caverns sit 210 feet below ground level near Peach Springs in northwestern Arizona. What makes this place different from every other cave will surprise you. These caverns are almost completely dry, which means formations stopped growing ages ago and sit frozen in time like fossils. Most cave systems have water dripping and flowing that shapes the rock, but Grand Canyon Caverns preserves everything in a state of dormancy. The explored passages stretch over 3/4 of a mile, but geologists believe way more exists beyond the tourist routes. During the Cold War, the federal government looked at these caverns and saw the perfect fallout shelter location. They designated portions of the cave as an emergency shelter and stocked it with supplies for 2,000 people in case nuclear war broke out. The dry conditions meant supplies would not rot or get ruined by moisture. The caverns gained fame for housing mummified remains of a giant ground sloth that got discovered back in the 1920s. The creature wandered into the cave thousands of years ago and never made it out. The dry air preserved its body instead of letting it decompose like normal, and now visitors can see the remains displayed inside the cave itself. Scientists use this cave to study what Arizona looked like millions of years ago, based on the rock layers and formations visible in the walls. The lack of water makes exploration easier than wet caves, where you wade through pools and crawl through mud. Everything down there feels like walking through a time capsule from an era before humans existed. The size of the unmapped sections keeps researchers excited because nobody knows how far the system actually extends into the earth. Some passages get too narrow for people to squeeze through, while others drop into vertical shafts nobody has explored yet. The dry environment preserved details in the rock that water would have eroded away centuries ago. What you can tour represents just a fraction of what exists beneath the surface, and the rest remains hidden in darkness, waiting for someone brave enough to map it. The government bunker supplies are still down there as a reminder of how close the world came to nuclear disaster. This cave holds secrets from both ancient history and recent fears. At number 8 we have Pepper Sauce Cave, located in the Santa Catalina Mountains north of Tucson, and this one attracts both expert cavers and total beginners. The cave formed inside metamorphic limestone and extends roughly 1,500 feet, with multiple chambers and passages to explore. Accessibility makes it popular, but also puts it at risk. This marble cave system has an entrance that people can reach without technical climbing gear, which sounds great until you realize how many inexperienced visitors damage formations by touching them. The cave features flowstones, stalactites, and small pools of water scattered throughout the chambers. Getting through requires crawling on your belly in several sections where the ceiling drops low. The Coronado National Forest manages the area and requires permits during certain times of year to protect bat populations using the cave for roosting. When bats are breeding or hibernating, humans getting too close can cause entire colonies to abandon the cave or worse. The proximity to Tucson means hundreds of people visit yearly, which creates conservation challenges. Experienced cavers use pepper sauce to practice techniques before attempting more dangerous systems, while beginners get their first taste of what exists underground. The tight passages teach you real fast whether you can handle enclosed spaces or if you need to stick to tourist caves. Water pools inside stay cold year-round and reflect formations on the ceiling like natural mirrors. The cave's popularity creates a constant battle between access and preservation, because too many visitors will eventually destroy what makes the place special. Volunteers organize cleanup efforts to remove trash left behind by careless explorers. The limestone continues to form new deposits, but human oils from touching the rock stop formations from growing in those spots forever. What makes pepper sauce important is how it introduces people to caving, without requiring expert skills or expensive equipment. The chambers open up into rooms big enough to stand in before narrowing again into crawl spaces. Some passages lead to dead ends, while others connect to unexplored sections that might extend the known system significantly. The permit system attempts to limit human impact while still allowing access, but enforcement remains difficult when people ignore the rules. Bats provide natural pest control by eating tons of insects nightly, making their protection critical for the entire ecosystem. This cave serves as a testing ground for whether public access and conservation can work together. Coming in at number 7 is Colossal Cave, positioned in the Rincon Mountains southeast of Tucson, and this system has attracted visitors since the late 1800s. The dry limestone cave contains over 3 miles of mapped passages, but the full extent remains a mystery. Legend says 19th century outlaws hid stolen loot inside the chambers. Archaeological evidence proves Hohokam people used portions of the cave centuries before European settlers arrived in Arizona. The constant temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit year-round made it a comfortable refuge regardless of outside weather. No treasure has ever been recovered despite decades of people searching every corner looking for outlaw gold. Unlike caves formed by water erosion, Colossal Cave got carved by an ancient underground river system that disappeared long ago. The passages wind through the mountain following the path water took millions of years in the past. Walking through feels like tracing the ghost of a river that once flowed with tremendous force. The county operates it as a park offering guided tours through massive chambers and corridors that twist deeper into the earth. The dry conditions preserved formations differently than wet caves where water constantly reshapes everything. Some chambers reach sizes big enough to fit entire buildings inside with room to spare. The outlaw legend persists because the cave system has so many unexplored passages where something could stay hidden forever. Early explorers carved their names and dates into walls, creating a timeline of human interaction with the cave. Modern cavers continue mapping new sections, extending the known system bit by bit through tight squeezes and vertical drops. What separates Colossal from other tourist caves is how much remains unexplored despite over a century of visitors walking through it. The ancient river carved passages at multiple levels, creating a three-dimensional maze underneath the mountain. Scientists study the dry formations to understand how caves evolve when water stops flowing through them. The Hohokam likely used the cave for shelter, ceremonies, or storage based on artifacts found in accessible chambers. Temperature stability made it valuable for keeping things cool in Arizona's brutal summer heat. This cave connects human history with geological history spanning millions of years in one location. At number 6, we have Lava River Cave, located north of Flagstaff in the Coconino National Forest. And this represents something completely different from limestone caves. This volcanic cave formed approximately 700,000 years ago when molten lava created a tunnel as the surface cooled. The cave stretches nearly a mile in length, making it Arizona's longest lava tube. Temperature inside ranges between 35 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, which feels shockingly cold compared to most Arizona caves. When lava flowed from a nearby volcanic vent, the outer layer hardened while the interior kept moving like a river of liquid rock. Eventually, the lava drained out, leaving behind a hollow tube through the earth. Unlike limestone caves with delicate formations growing over millennia, Lava River Cave has rough basalt walls and ceiling, with few decorative features to admire. The smooth lava floor in sections reveals the exact direction the ancient lava flowed before draining away. Walking through feels like stepping into a pipeline that once carried superheated rock. The cave remains open for self-guided exploration during summer months, but visitors must bring their own lighting and gear for the cold conditions. No tour guides lead you through and no lights get installed, meaning you experience total darkness if your flashlight dies. The temperature drop from outside to inside can reach 70 degrees in summer. Volcanic caves form fast compared to limestone systems that take millions of years to develop through water erosion. The basalt walls show textures from when the lava was still partially molten and flowing. Some sections have collapsed over the centuries, creating obstacles you must climb over or around to progress deeper. Ice forms near the entrance during winter and persists into summer because of the cold temperatures and lack of sunlight. The cave provides a unique environment where ice and lava rock exist together in the Arizona desert. Scientists study the lava tube to understand volcanic activity that shaped northern Arizona hundreds of thousands of years ago. What makes Lava River Cave special is how it formed in hours or days instead of the geological timescales most caves require. The experience differs completely from limestone caves, because you are walking through frozen volcanic plumbing rather than water-carved passages. This cave shows a violent birth compared to the slow formation of other systems. At number 5 we have Onyx Cave, situated in the Santa Rita Mountains south of Tucson, and access to this place is restricted to protect what exists inside. The cave contains some of Arizona's most delicate formations including flowstone, draperies, and onyx-like calcite deposits. Only experienced cavers conducting research or conservation work can get permits to enter. The system extends approximately 600 feet, with several small chambers connected by narrow passages, barely wide enough to squeeze through. Formations continue growing actively, because consistent water seepage through the limestone deposits, new minerals constantly. One careless touch from a human hand stops growth in that spot permanently, by leaving oils on the rock. The cave's ecosystem remains incredibly sensitive to changes in airflow, temperature, or humidity that human visitors create just by breathing and moving through the space. Scientists study how formations develop in pristine conditions without human interference. The onyx-like deposits give the cave its name and create translucent features that glow when light passes through them. Restricting access frustrates people who want to explore, but the alternative is watching the formations get destroyed within years by too many visitors. Similar caves that allowed unrestricted access are now damaged beyond repair, with broken stalactites and formations covered in human oils. Onyx Cave represents what caves look like when protection takes priority over tourism. The permit system ensures only people who understand cave conservation enter, and even they must follow strict protocols to minimize impact. Every footstep gets planned to avoid crushing small formations on the floor. The small size makes the cave particularly vulnerable, because there are fewer formations to begin with compared to massive systems. Water dripping through the limestone carries dissolved minerals that build the formations, atom by atom over thousands of years. The draperies hang like frozen waterfalls, made of stone instead of ice. What makes Onyx Cave important is how it shows what all caves would look like if humans never touched them. The restricted access means most people will never see inside, which bothers some but protects these formations for future generations to study. The cave serves as a natural laboratory for understanding geological processes without human contamination. This represents conservation in its purest form where nature's needs come before human curiosity. Coming in at number 4 is Coronado Cave, located in the Coronado National Memorial, near the Mexican border, and the hike to reach it offers incredible views. The entrance sits at approximately 5,600 feet elevation, with a steep trail that tests your fitness before you even enter the cave. The main passage extends roughly 600 feet into the Huachuca Mountains. Breakdown boulders from ceiling collapses litter the floor while flowstone formations coat sections of the walls. Evidence shows both wildlife and humans used the cave throughout history for shelter. Despite the name, no historical evidence connects this cave to Spanish explorer Francisco Vázquez de Coronado, meaning someone just attached his name later. The cave remains completely undeveloped, with no lights, railings, or paved paths, requiring visitors to bring their own lighting and navigate obstacles independently. Bats use portions seasonally for roosting, and the National Park Service closes access during critical breeding and hibernation periods. Disturbing bats during these times can kill entire colonies. The elevation gives the cave cooler temperatures than lower desert caves and creates unique conditions for the formations inside. Climbing over breakdown boulders requires careful foot placement because a twisted ankle this far from help becomes a serious emergency. The flowstone formations show where water flowed down walls for thousands of years, leaving mineral deposits. What makes Coronado Cave accessible is the relatively easy entrance compared to vertical caves requiring climbing gear. The passage size allows walking upright in most sections, instead of constant crawling. The lack of development preserves the wild character, but also means you take full responsibility for your safety underground. The seasonal bat closures protect species that provide natural pest control by eating massive quantities of insects nightly. White nose syndrome has devastated bat populations across North America, making protection of healthy colonies critical for species survival. This cave balances public access with wildlife protection through timed closures that let both humans and bats use the space. The name confusion shows how legends get attached to places even when historical facts do not support the stories. People want romantic connections to famous explorers more than they want boring geological truth. This cave offers legitimate natural beauty without needing false historical claims. At number 3, we have Cave of the Bells, hidden within the Santa Rita Mountains, and this represents one of Arizona's most significant vertical caves. The entrance drops 180 feet straight down into a large chamber, requiring technical climbing equipment and expertise to access safely. Only experienced cavers with proper gear can enter this system. The cave extends both horizontally and vertically, with multiple levels of passages, totaling over 10,000 feet of surveyed cave. The name comes from bell-like sounds produced by dripping water striking certain formations throughout the system. These acoustic properties create an underground concert hall, where water makes music against stone. Exceptional displays of helictites, aragonite crystals, and other rare formations make this cave scientifically important beyond its impressive size. Helictites grow in seemingly impossible directions, defying gravity, because of crystal structure rather than water dripping straight down. The Forest Service and local grotto organizations strictly control access to protect these formations. The technical skills required for safe exploration keep casual visitors out naturally, but also mean fewer people document and study what exists inside. Vertical caving demands rope skills, climbing knowledge, and emergency rescue capabilities that take years to develop. One mistake on the entrance drop can result in fatal falls or being stranded underground. The cave serves as critical habitat for several bat species that need the vertical spaces and multiple levels for different life stages. The complex three-dimensional layout creates microenvironments with varying temperatures and humidity levels. Scientists study how formations develop differently at various depths and levels within the same system. What separates Cave of the Bells from horizontal caves is how you must descend into the earth using climbing techniques before you can explore laterally. The entrance drop eliminates unprepared visitors immediately through physical barriers, rather than just regulations. The bell sounds echo through chambers in ways that give the cave an otherworldly atmosphere. The aragonite crystals form in conditions specific to this cave's chemistry and environment, making them rare even among cave formations. Over 10,000 feet of surveyed passages means cavers have spent countless hours mapping the system, yet unexplored sections likely still exist. This cave represents the extreme end of Arizona's underground systems in terms of difficulty and scientific value. Coming in at number 2 is Arkinstone Cave, located in the limestone hills of central Arizona, and this system ranks among the state's longest surveyed caves, with over 6,000 feet of mapped passages. Multiple levels connect through vertical shafts and slopes, creating a complex three-dimensional maze that challenges experienced cavers. The exact location stays secret to prevent vandalism. The cave was discovered in the 1980s, making it relatively recent compared to systems known since the 80s. Dedicated cavers continue exploring and surveying, extending the known passages through tight crawls and vertical drops that require technical skills. Massive stalagmites grow from the floor while delicate helictites branch in impossible directions from walls and ceilings. Extensive flowstone deposits coat entire chambers in various colors, depending on the minerals dissolved in the water that formed them. The caving community guards the location fiercely, because pristine caves attract vandals who break formations for souvenirs or spray paint graffiti on walls. Access requires permission from private landowners and membership in recognized grottos. The three-dimensional maze quality means getting lost becomes a real danger without proper cave mapping skills and equipment. Passages intersect at multiple levels, with some routes leading up, while others drop down into deeper sections. Navigation underground requires constant attention to landmarks and passage characteristics that all look similar in the dark. What makes Arkinstone significant is how much cave keeps getting discovered through persistent exploration by skilled cavers willing to push through tight restrictions. Each expedition potentially adds more footage to the surveyed total. The formations remain pristine because the secret location and access requirements filter out everyone except serious cavers. The helictites display the strange growth patterns that occur when cave conditions create formations that ignore gravity and grow sideways or even upward. The massive stalagmites took tens of thousands of years to reach their current heights through mineral deposits one drop at a time. This cave showcases the full range of limestone formations from the huge to the microscopic. The 1980s discovery date proves that significant cave systems still hide beneath Arizona, waiting for someone to find the entrance. Modern cavers use technology and systematic searching to locate openings that earlier explorers missed. Arkinstone shows what caves look like when protection starts from the moment of discovery, instead of after damage occurs. But number 1 is where everything changes, because Wall Cavern sits carved into the Redwall limestone along the Colorado River within Grand Canyon National Park. Explorer John Wesley Powell described this massive chamber during his 1869 expedition, estimating it could seat 50,000 people. Modern measurements suggest smaller capacity, but the space remains enormous. The cavern formed through millions of years of river erosion against the limestone cliff face, creating a semicircular amphitheater, approximately 500 feet wide and 150 feet deep. Unlike typical caves extending deep underground, Red Wall Cavern functions more as a massive alcove open to the river. The scale makes it one of Arizona's most notable cave features, despite the unusual structure. River runners frequently stop at the site during Grand Canyon rafting trips, and the fine sand floor makes it a popular camping spot for overnight expeditions. The overhang provides shelter from rain and sun, while the river flows past just feet away. Standing inside creates a sense of scale that photographs cannot capture adequately. The cavern represents just one example of hundreds of similar features throughout the canyon's limestone layers. Most remain largely unstudied and inaccessible except by technical climbing or river access. The Colorado River continues carving new features while enlarging existing ones through relentless erosion over geological time. What makes Red Wall Cavern unique is its accessibility from the river compared to caves requiring hiking or technical skills to reach. Thousands of rafters visit yearly during the peak season, making it one of Arizona's most seen cave features. The Powell Expedition journals documented the cavern's impressive size and acoustic properties that amplify voices and river sounds. The limestone layers visible in the canyon walls show millions of years of sediment deposition from ancient seas that once covered the region. River-level caves like Red Wall form through different processes than underground systems carved by water seeping through rock. The cavern continues growing wider and taller as the river cuts deeper into the canyon. These 10 cave systems represent just a tiny fraction of what exists beneath Arizona, with 95% still unmapped and unexplored in total darkness. From vertical drops requiring climbing gear to massive river caverns open to the sky, each system tells a different story of how water, lava, and time shape the hidden world underground. The caves you will never see outnumber the ones you can visit by hundreds to one,